welcome back to Collect All Monsters. What do I say? You're watching Collect All Monsters live. We've got 40 people watching live on Facebook and YouTube, and hello to all you beautiful 40 people. And we are just about to dive right back into it with our second half of the show, which is our That 70s Showa segment. And this
Peace and love and kaiju.
This is a segment concepted by Leslie Chambers, I believe.
Yeah, great idea.
Leslie, why don't you tell us
where
this crazy idea for 1970s era kaiju celebration came from, my friend?
Well, I'm going to tell you, my friend. Yes. No, seriously. When we came up with this, when Kyle came to myself, Christine, John, and David about, doing this show, he was like, look, I want some ideas. We have equal input. So give me some ideas, like what you want to do shows about. And I came up with like 30 of them, like at one time. And one of the ideas I came up with was, something pertaining to just the 70s films. Because honestly, from a personal perspective, the 70s films are my favorite era films. If we going by like, certain eras, I know it's part of Showa, but the 70s, like these films, I go back to more often than not. Mm-hmm. And it was a 70s film that made me a Godzilla fan. Without Megalon, and yes, I understand that film is kind of not the excellence in Godzilla films, but without that film and without me growing up watching the 70s films, I wouldn't have been a Godzilla fan. I wouldn't have been a collector. I wouldn't be sitting here in this chair on this awesome show right now. So I owe a lot to the 70s films. And I understand from a lot of people's perspective that it can't really top the 60s. I mean, I think we can all agree. The 60s had the better special effects, the better stories, but you cannot deny
90s.
How awesome and fun 90s. Really?
I'm Paisley girl.
And that speaks a lot right there. That's all I gotta say about that. Well, I'll tell you what, you can have your crappy space Godzilla and we'll have the fun films, okay? Anyways, like I was saying, the 70s films are awesome. And again, they may not top the 60s, but the two primary things I love about the 70s films is the fact that we get some really cool monsters, the introduction of cool monsters, because it's kind of hard to top King Ghidorah, Kumonga, Ebera, maybe Gabra, the Gargantuous, whatever. But they did exactly that with Hedorah, Megalon, Mechagodzilla, Gigan, King Caesar, Titanosaurus. Yes. And a lot of Godzilla fans that grew up in the 80s, we owe a lot to the 70s film for making us fans in the first place. And not only just the Godzilla films, the 70s films were just the 70s era were awesome in terms of film. Think about iconic movies that came out in the 70s. Jaws, Star Wars, the original Halloween, the original Superman the movie, Smokey and the Bandit, even Rocky, right? And Rocky, and just like Rocky, the Godzilla films in the 70s presented Godzilla as the ultimate underdog. When you watch a 60s Godzilla film, with the exception of Mothra and Kong, sorry, John, with the exception of those two films, you knew that Godzilla was going to win. The outcome was never in doubt. But when he fought Hedorah, when he went up against King Ghidorah and Gigan, when he fought Titanosaurus and Mechagodzilla, you sit there as a fan wondering, how is he going to get through this? How is he going to survive it? But it also shows how tough he is, because during those films, even though Godzilla is awesome, but he gets his ass handed to him on multiple occasions. You know what I'm saying? From losing an eye, getting his hand burnt to the bone, him suffering from sulfuric acid fumes. Gigan made him having CTE by kicking him in the back of the head. He bled to death. He got set on fire. Oh my God.
Yeah.
But again, that's why I love the 70s films.
Violent kind of time back then.
Yeah, when you sit down and think about it, Godzilla went through a lot. And I understand from a certain point of view, yes, the over-reliance of stock footage, the annoying child characters, the over-the-top nonsensical storylines, obviously corner cutting in the special effects. I get it. You can't compare it to the 60s, but they have earned their place, and they are awesome fun films. And that's why I'm so looking forward to dive in headfirst into this discussion. Long live the 1970s Godzilla films. Yes, yes, yes.
Long live the 70s.
Yes.
I wasn't even born yet.
Good friend. Yes.
Yeah, we know.
That's cool. That's cool. That's cool. All right. Well, Leslie, should we go in chronological order as to the monsters we've chosen, or do you want to just go around the room?
Well, I can start if you want to go and get me out of the way. I'm sorry, but I have to say this. I love this topic. Like, in certain topics, certain hosts are more catered to those topics. Like, for example, the last one, the yokai episode, that's right up Kyle's alley, and it was so cool seeing him so happy talking about the yokai stuff. Or the Ultraman episode, that was right up David and John's alley. But this episode is all about me. It's all about me. And John, to a certain extent. I know John loves the 70s films too. And that's why, I'm going to try and rein myself in a little bit. But the monster that I want to talk about from the 70s is, of course, with his fake ass, the imposter 1974 Godzilla. Now, this is a kit. You've seen it many times before, courtesy of Burley Vang, Radioactive Resin Toys. And model kits, excuse me. And I got to give you a plug. He's also working on the 72 that's coming out hopefully later on this year. But yes, Burley sculpted this thing. I got it built and painted by Mark Sang-Yang. But this is a guy that we need more of in the collectible world, the imposter Godzilla.
That's right. Now,
the history behind the imposter Godzilla, you would think that because, we see him in 74, that's the first time that he made an appearance. Actually, it's not the case. Now, if you're a Godzilla fan, you're a hardcore Godzilla fan, you would notice that the first time we see him is in the year prior, Godzilla vs. Megalon, and you see it just for a short second. You barely see it. But I have the book here, Total Special Effects books of the 73 Godzilla, and in the final page, you get a picture of this.
Mm-hmm.
Now, remember the scene when Jaguar goes to Monster Island and retrieves Godzilla, and Godzilla dives into the water. Now, that shot was stock footage from Sea Monster. We see him dive in the water for Sea Monster. But there's another shot when we see Godzilla swimming away from the island, but it's a back shot. That was this suit right here. It was a promotional suit that was used, I guess, for promotional appearances at the time. Because that's what Toho would do sometimes, right? They would have a separate promotional suit to do promotional appearances instead of the actual main suit that was used in the movie. But this would go on to become the imposter Godzilla. And when we watched Godzilla vs. Mechagodzilla, when as soon as Godzilla shows up, it's not like they went out of their way to try to hide that it wasn't the real Godzilla. Even I, as a young fan, I was like, wow, that's Godzilla. But like, wait a minute, he's not doing his roar. There's something off about that, And then when he fights Anguirus later on, even the characters say, why is he fighting Anguirus? Because, shouldn't they be allies? Which also is awesome because it shows continuity. The one thing the Showa series was not the best at, quite frankly, But when it came to the imposter Godzilla, before the real Godzilla shows up, there were intercut shots between the original Godzilla suit as well as the fake Godzilla suit, to try to give off the impression, that it was the real Godzilla or whatever, but we knew it wasn't, we knew it wasn't. But again, that's why I wanted to choose this guy, because again, we need more figures of this. I've been saying for X Plus to make something like this, but I'm glad that Burley Vang exists because he saw the need for something like this, and it's a shame that not more people have this kit. Hopefully he'll reissue it, because I'm sure if he does, I'm sure a lot of people would go after
it's so
it.
Nice.
It is nice. And it's a great size. He's 30 centimeters, probably like around 31, 32. It's massive, whatever. And again, the stellar paint job of Mark Sang-Yang. This really is an awesome piece. And once again, we need more imposter Godzillas in our collection, So that's why I want to showcase as far as like probably one of my most favorite monsters from the 70s, even though it's not the real king of the monsters, but still, he made a lasting impression. Because when you think about it, when you watch the film, half of the film, he's disguised, and the other half is Mechagodzilla, full of reveal. But before the real Mechagodzilla shows up, it was nice to see this awesome, evil, smiling version. So, and that's all I have to say about that.
Awesome.
Very cool.
Leslie, I get the feel, you know, I wonder if the idea for the fake Godzilla started in Godzilla versus Gigan with the Godzilla Tower.
Oh.
And you know what? I can understand that. And that's another thing I want to see from a more collectible companies. I know that things are mormon out there of the Godzilla Tower,
Yeah.
but S Plus, Spiral Studios, whoever is hearing my voice
There it
right
is.
now,
Somebody.
we need a Godzilla Tower. You know what? That's a question I would ask y'all before we go any further. Which one would you rather see first, an imposter Godzilla or the Godzilla Tower?
That's
I want a tower.
Well,
From X Plus, I would say the imposter Godzilla.
yeah, because considering that I
on.
do have the Marmot Tower, I probably would choose the imposter because I don't have anything. Well, actually, that's not true. That's not true. I've got the Bandai Bandai Premium, which is a pretty cool
It's beautiful.
imposter Godzilla, and you can see that
Oh,
face.
that's true.
Yeah, that's right.
Toy Graph.
I mean-
Toy Graph did an
Michael
imposter.
So,
has the
it's
best
not
answer,
both.
which
Yeah,
is why not both?
Yeah.
Why not both? Yeah,
Why
I
not
love that
both?
meme. I love that meme. Why not both?
I mean, but either way, both doppelgangers really put a beat down on the original Godzilla, which shows how awesome they are.
Yeah.
But either way, I think we need more of both of them. You know, like what Michael said. But again, I don't know why we don't have more of the imposter or more of the Godzilla Tower or whatever. We just need more 70s Godzillas. Period.
Yes, we do.
You know,
He's
he's
75 and
It's-
a new 74.
a proper 75. I know the S Plus doesn't have the best reputation in the world, but again, as I mentioned with Gamera
Okay.
version 2, maybe they can go back to the 75 and give us a more proper
Yeah.
one. That way, David ain't got to put his expertise on it and fix it like he has done so many others out there. You know what I'm saying? But then again, I'm all about making my brother some money. So yeah, S Plus, keep on cranking out mediocre figures. Whatever. Anyways.
Wow. Okay.
Cast does have a Godzilla Tower. I just wish they'd reissue it and it was widely available. Because
And it
looks
was a little,
quite
it was a
awesome.
little less expensive too for the size.
Yeah. But again, this is amazing, and it just this figure, or at least this monster in particular, at least this design, constitutes my favorite moment from the Showa era. When we see both Godzillas go at it at the oil refinery, I can't tell you when I first saw that as a kid, seeing not one but two Godzillas go at it, and I mean, it's a shame that the scene didn't last a little bit longer than it did, you know. But it's like even when Godzilla sees him, or Mechagodzilla fully revealed, or when Godzilla sees the Godzilla Tower, Godzilla's not impressed. He's like, okay, you just, I don't know. Well, either way,
I memorized the line from the film.
what do you say?
Fuji kara ariwarita Gojira ga cyborg desu.
You don't know my mama. How dare you talk to my mama like that?
Great line.
So desu ne.
Godzilla appeared from Mount
that's
Fuji as a
me.
cyborg.
All I know is when I go to Japan, I'm gonna have y'all speak for me. I'm like,
They speak English over there.
oh yeah, but when it comes to, I'm gonna have John and Kyle and David and maybe hopefully if Dale's with us. I know he's great in Japanese. Hopefully, I'm like, you know what, just speak for me because I may,
Do some trades.
so whatever. But
Great movie.
that's great. But David, what's your monster? Who do you want to showcase as one of your favorites, if not your favorite from the 70s?
Well, let me start by saying I agree with everything you said about the 70s films. They're just a lot of fun. They're a little bit gritty. They did suffer from lower budgets than they had in the 60s, for sure. The stock footage is a little bit repetitious, which kind of annoys a lot of people, including myself. And there was a time, when I first started getting back into collecting that I wasn't really a big fan of the 70s films, but that's all changed. I absolutely love them. Just talking with people like John and you and rediscovering them again, and like the Criterion collection, they're like beautiful prints of the films. Watching the Japanese versions really helped me.
Absolutely.
It really elevated the films for me too, because some of the dubbing is just, it's not that great. It's not the typical, Titra Studios AIP dubs. There's kind of like the little bit less whatever. Anyway, I really do love the 70s films now. And, it was kind of easy for me to pick which monster I wanted to sort of talk about. in the 70s era, because it's really the only monster in the Godzilla series that comes from an actual creature from Japanese folklore. The only one, because I'm talking about King Caesar. Now, Kyle, I know you have a bunch of. Those are my images of the ones that I have first, and you can just scroll through them as I'm talking. That's totally fine.
Yeah.
So King Caesar is derived from the Shisa dogs, which is sort of a cross between a lion and a dog, and it's from Okinawan mythology. And it's different from the Koma Inu statues that Kyle and I saw, and Sir John did, outside of the Shinto temples all throughout Japan. They're really, specific to Okinawan folklore. And they're not really gods. They're considered kami, or lesser deities. And they're guardians or protectors. And in the Shinto religion. And they're typically placed in pairs on rooftops or flanking the gates of homes or temples. And they have different meanings too. On the left usually is a closed mouth one, which allows good spirits to come in to your place. And on the right, there's an open mouthed one to ward off evil spirits.
Awesome.
So it's just so cool to me that Toho decided to actually use something from Japanese folklore to actually have a monster in the Godzilla series. I think that's pretty cool, because I thought about it long and hard. I'm like, I don't think there's any other monster that is specifically derived from Japanese folklore. I mean, Ultraman has done it, but as far as Godzilla, all the other monsters are kind of made up. I mean, you can say King Ghidorah is kind of like a celestial dragon a little bit. There's hints of that. But anyway, I just found King Caesar to be really cool and, a formidable opponent. Yeah.
But he's cute.
And he's cute. And it's a real thing. You can go to Okinawa and see these actual statues. One of these days, I want to go visit Ron Nix, who actually has a great collection. He has like a little Godzilla shrine museum in Okinawa, and it's just I had to pick that one just because that I need that statue.
I do too.
I've got this little teeny one.
Oh, so cool. Oh,
got the little.
It's so tiny.
It's a little tiny one from Cast Iwakura, and I just had to have it. And I'll just show you some of my. There was some in the photos, but I'll just show you some of my collectibles. This is of course, the D4
He's so
which
cute.
which is actually really cute. They did a phenomenal job on him.
When he gets mad and his ears are like.
Yeah, I kind of
So cute.
prefer the puppy dog ears a little bit more. And of course, this is the X Plus 25 centimeter, which is really cool.
Gorgeous.
Maybe we'll see a gigantic, because we do have a gigantic 74,
Oh,
and maybe
true.
we'll see a gigantic 74 Godzilla as well to go with it. Who knows? Maybe not. You never know. This one had a lot of controversy because when I took him out of the box, the jaw was completely, broken, and it was moved over to the other side. I had to do some plastic surgery, but I was able to fix him. He's pretty good now. And of course, my very first foray into King Caesar collecting, of course, is the Bandai, standard Bandai, which is actually a really, really nice figure. They did a really nice job on him. I used to have the Marmot Monster Heaven floppy-eared, but I actually sold him quite a while back, so I don't have him any longer. But no, it's just great, and I just love the fact that they use Nami, the priestess. She's the only one that can awaken King Caesar from his slumber because she's a descendant of the royal Azumi family, and she sings our all favorite song,
That wonderful
Irabi's
song.
Prayer, and it's just a fun scene, and it really, again, it's where you see a film and you're like, what? I think I'd really love to go to Okinawa because it looks like a beautiful place anyway.
Absolutely.
And it's definitely on the list if we can ever start traveling again. I mean, my next Japan destination is Kyushu, which is close. We're getting closer to Okinawa, but I don't think I'm going to be able to do both on that same particular trip. But yeah, so that's it. King Caesar, taken from Japanese mythology, and that's my choice for my 70s showcase. Yeah, I grew up in the 70s. And, I didn't get the memo, so I'm wearing my 70s retro shirt. I've got my little choker on, and I've got my 70s stuff.
Yeah,
Oh, very cool.
But,
Wow.
hey, whatever. But that's just me. How
gravy,
about
baby.
you? How about groovy, man, groovy baby? Yeah. So let's trip on down to Miss Chapin over there in California and see what she's got shaking. What's up, baby?
What's up, my boys? So I was not born in the 70s, but I tried to get the whole, vibe going on here. I got the headband, my heart glasses.
Yeah, you
I
got
found these
it.
awesome pants. So I'm like, I'm digging it. So my kaiju that I picked from the 70s, because I did grow up on the 70s films when I was growing up, when I was a young little whippersnapper back in the day. And that's what we would watch before we got on the school bus, and we go to Super Duper grocery store in Camden. And I'd always be like, I remember I bought Godzilla versus Mechagodzilla there. Godzilla versus the Cosmic Monster is what it was back then on VHS. And then Terror of Mechagodzilla with Titanosaurus. I don't even know if I should even be qualified to be talking about Titanosaurus. I think Nick Sides is like the Titanosaurus titan of knowledge over here. I always loved Titanosaurus. He's just so cute, and he started out, he was just a gentle, undersea living amphibious dinosaur. And
A dinosaur! It's
a
dinosaur!
And he didn't really start out, he wasn't a bad kaiju when he first started out. It was only until the aliens from the black hole used Katsura to do the mind control. So he was a peaceful little dude, just chilling under the ocean, doing his thing. Until they decided, to use him
And Katsura and Christine, Katsura told her father, "Do you really want him to join the ranks of the killers?
Right, the ranks of the
The
killers.
disaster monsters."
Yeah.
And Dr. Mifune was just so mad. He's like, "Yep, I do."
And then Dr. Mifune was the one who had discovered him, and nobody believed him.
I know.
Mm-hmm. So they kind of used him as a tool to get back at humanity for Mifune, for everyone, the scientists and all that making fun of him, and the aliens wanted to take over the world. So poor guy, he got used for. I think he is one of the kaiju, got used for purposes he wasn't intended for. He was just chilling, doing his thing, and until he got mind controlled. And actually, really, you never know at the end. He fell off the cliff, but did he die because he fell into the ocean? Where does my boy live? In the ocean.
We've not seen him again. So
no, you don't see him again. So, but so Titanosaurus was played by Tatsumi Nikamoto, who also played in a few other kind of smaller roles in other eras. I just wanted to point out really quick. I have my cheat sheet because I literally had to do this in 2 days. So I haven't memorized it. But he played, Tatsumi Nikamoto played the life-size Zone Fighter.
Awesome.
In the TV show Zone Fighter. And then he also played the title role of Ultraman Leo.
Oh, cool.
But also in the Zone Fighter series, as you know, they had Godzilla, Gigan, and King Ghidorah made appearances in Zone Fighter, and Satsuma actually played Gigan in the Zone Fighter series, but I don't have a picture of that. But then, so Nikamoto-san also played the Triceratops in the last dinosaur film.
Oh, wow.
Cool. That always.
Okay.
I love Triceratops.
But who was in the rear of the Triceratops?
Yeah, right.
That's right.
That's
the question.
This movie always made me so sad.
I know. I love Triceratops. He's my favorite. My favorite dinosaur.
Wow.
I remember seeing that on TV on ABC. It was like a big special.
Yeah.
Yes, it was. I have it on VHS. I taped it off of ABC.
Oh my
Oh,
god!
I know you did. I know
got
you
it.
did.
Yes. I'll post some of it. Yeah.
Yeah.
So there he is
Music.
right there. So he played in a lot of different Toho movies and films. And kind of obvious, Titanosaurus' roar was they used elephant trumpets, and then, which I had noticed right away, was the horse snorts, because I used to ride horses. So when he would go like. So I was excited when I heard it. Oh my god, that's a horse right there! So then of course I loved him even more because first of all, he's adorable. And so I'll just show off a couple of my little duders here. So first off, I just got this not too long ago. I have been dying to find this one. The Parababy Titanosaurus. This was sculpted by Masami Yamada, who has done so many amazing sculpts for Marmot, and he's done work for Toy Graph, and just like a whole. And it comes with a little. Oh my god! I forgot the name of the sub. Wait a second. I wrote it down. So I can never remember. I have a terrible memory.
It's a race for you in the chat.
The Akatsui research sub. So the beginning, and then he does a little, and then they go spinning around in the whirlpool. I can
hear the music right now.
Yes.
And he's just, and I love the music. But this sculpt is so adorable. I mean, if you're looking for a cute Titanosaurus, you really can't go wrong with a pair. I need to move up closer here. I'm like super far away. Okay, I'm coming. I'm coming. All right, before I knock everything over here. And then I just got this, you guys.
Beautiful.
Oh, that's
yeah,
beautiful.
Look at this.
Okay, that one's
Shiny boy.
That's beautiful.
So this is also the Marmot Titanosaurus. This is a standard size.
Nice.
This was actually, this just came out. It was at they had a talk show, a dinner and talk show in Japan on August 7th. And they had, I think, 5 exclusives to that show. There was this guy, King Caesar, David. They had a blue glitter King Caesar.
Oh, cool.
A 64 Godzilla, a big one.
Yeah.
A big Mecha Godzilla, and there's another one. Well, I shouldn't be drinking it. Let's see. Godzilla 62. Godzilla 62. So, I mean, when I saw this, I love blue, I love glitter. And it's really hard to show up on camera and like pictures and stuff. But it's got like rainbow. It's like red. So these, I would say look on Yahoo Japan auctions for them, but they're kind of expensive on there. I kind of got lucky, and I had one of my friends in Japan work some stuff out for me. So that's how I got this.
It's beautiful.
But hopefully, I know I'm so excited. And then of course, this isn't the Mechagodzilla 2, but it's still Mechagodzilla.
Nice
this is the first one. This is the Aurora Godzilla. So they're little buddies together.
Yeah.
Wow. And then,
I wonder if Nick Side saw that one. I'm sure he wants that glittery one.
Oh, I'm sure he's getting it. I'm sure we'll be seeing pictures of him with one of these. Yeah. He has literally like every Titanosaurus. He's got sample paints, and I'm kind of a little jealous. He's got a lot of nice ones. And then this is one of the first.
The best one.
That's the
best. Diamond reissue.
That's the best one.
It's a really great figure.
It is.
Yeah.
He's so cute. And then I should have said it to Kyle, but I didn't. But so. I listened to, I like EDM. So Zed's Dead, like way back, like old Zed's Dead. They always would sample, like, I feel like they sampled his roar, because in a lot of their older songs, they have like this like beat in the back that goes like, it sounds like him. So every time I listen to him, I'm like, they have Titanosaurus in their song. But yeah, this is like, I love Titanosaurus. That's a good movie too. I love even though he doesn't really have any like abilities, like he don't shoot lasers or anything. But
he can fight though.
He can fight. Scrapper.
Got that tail.
Yeah, he got this.
Tornado.
And then he like causes hurricanes, and then he picked up Godzilla by the nose and just flung around. And how happy is Godzilla? Yeah, so he's a little scrappy little dude.
We need to do an episode on Toho Gravity or lack
thereof. But you know what the problem is with Terra Mechagodzilla? As much as I love that film, the one thing I cannot get past, even to this day, as much as I love it, it's like they were upset, or at least they couldn't believe that Titanosaurus existed in a world where you got fire-breathing dinosaurs 3-headed space dragons, cyborg space chickens, a dog monster that sleeps and comes out of a mountain. But yet you're not going to believe that
you waited
an ordinary
to the end
dinosaur.
of the series to not believe in a dinosaur being possible.
Yeah, that's a great point, Leslie. And you know what bugged me too? It wasn't Okinawa. How did all of a sudden everything get moved over to Manazura Island or wherever that was?
Yeah.
What happened? Did it all drift over from Okinawa?
Yeah, the ocean waves.
Yeah.
But
ocean waves.
So don't talk about the 60s continuity not being good. So
it's funny. It's funny when that's why I highly advocate and tell everybody, please go back and listen to Kyle's discussion on the Kaiju Cast of the rediscussion of Terra Mechagodzilla, and his awesome co-host Adam gives a really big worded but yet sophisticated explanation to why that film is so awesome, and you can hear just how flabbergasted Kyle is. You can just hear it in his voice. You can just hear it in his voice that Kyle's like, no, no, you're wrong. You know, it is funny. It's like that's one of the episodes I go back to almost on a weekly basis. When I want a good laugh, I pop in that and just listen to Kyle. I'm like, Kyle is upset right now.
you know, even with these problems, it's still awesome, and it's so much fun.
Yeah.
It's still so much fun. These movies are so much fun, and I think that's what we're trying to say.
That's the point of
across about the 70s. There's just a lot of fun, even with the budget restraints and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah.
And one more thing I wanted to say, I forgot to say in my segment, if you want to learn a lot more about King Caesar, go to the premiere issue of Kaiju Ramen magazine.
Oh, yeah.
There's a really fantastic, very in-depth article, a lot more. I just skimmed the surface. Talks about, the caves, talks about Okinawa, talks about the Shisa dogs and the origin. They come from China. They used to be called Shishi. So please go check Michael and Travis's magazine, Kaiju Ramen. You can get it online. He may even have some hard copies, but there's a fantastic Yep, that's the one. Fantastic article about King Caesar and his connection to Japan and Okinawa. So
awesome.
There's that.
Right on. All right, where we leave off?
John Ruffin, right?
John. Over there.
Where is he? Keep moving him. There he is.
Kyle, can you share my Wonder Years photo? And let me just begin.
Of course I can.
Let me come in.
Get that
70s, the 70s, the 70s.
Who's gonna sing the song? What would you do if I sang out of tune?
My childhood. Okay, so the 70s.
My man.
Look, the 70s. I was born in the late 60s, so the 70s are like with David are those years.
Those golden years, man.
The golden years,
Sweet
nostalgia.
years.
Everything, kaiju, everything, science fiction, all of that got rooted into my life in those years. These are all my from the 70s.
Oh my, look at it.
That's great.
Godzilla to, wedding picture, because hours before I watched Godzilla versus Mechagodzilla. so these capture those wonderful years.
Yes, they do.
Now I'm going to get to my, there's one character I love most in the 70s, but I have to work my way up to it just to describe how wonderful the 70s were, thank God, for me, and what makes them so special. If you just want to know more about the 70 films, I'll just start with this. I'll just pull each item. This really great book on the Toho Champion Matsuri Festival.
Fantastic.
Series. Excellent, documentation on that whole period of time. The 70s were all about, look, we didn't have VCRs yet.
Nope.
We had tape recorders.
Yes, we did.
And we had to make tapes.
Yes, we did.
And Godzilla tapes.
Oh my gosh, I remember those.
I mean, to capture every one of those, whatever would come on TV. And to find out what came on TV, we needed our TV guide.
Right.
Okay,
oh my gosh. I do remember those too.
and find whatever, if it wasn't, during the week, Ultraman, Space
I
Giant.
still have this.
Oh, yeah, I had to go. I remember this issue too. This is from Philadelphia.
Wow.
This was from the Inquirer with Ben Vereen on the cover. But just to capture what it was, those great memories of trying to track down the next Godzilla movie, and then I didn't even realize that the Japanese were releasing cassette tapes.
None of us
with
did.
The soundtracks until a couple of years ago. I'm like, oh my God.
Cassette tapes.
You just, so from time to time, I will just play my tapes just to have that experience, because we had to listen to Godzilla after we watched Godzilla. It was no rewatching television. Also, the other thing that made the 70s wonderful, because we didn't have the wonderful, well, I didn't at least, did wonderful access to Japanese books about Godzilla. We had Famous Monsters.
Monsters of Filmland. Yes, we did.
Now, this was the 80s, because this is when Aliens came out, but there's a wonderful section in here on Godzilla versus the Smog Monster, all 70s. And these are collectibles I die for too, but
that's the one.
This was everything.
That was everything.
Godzilla versus the Bionic Monster. And this is my guy right here, Mecha Godzilla. But,
really?
Yeah, I don't talk about him enough.
Never could have guessed it.
Fantastic media,
I remember that book.
These were our Bibles in the 70s. That's all we had.
Starlog too.
Not much Godzilla, but you had to have your Viewmaster, so you can listen to Godzilla. And the 70s were wonderful for Godzilla American releases. I mean, it was some great. You caught that wave from like 77 to 79. Now, I didn't have these back in those days, but this is what the 70s were about. Giant Robo and Magma Taishi every day on television.
Oh my goodness.
Or as people would know them here, Johnny Sacco.
Johnny Sacco.
Space Giants.
That's right. That's right.
And here comes 1978. And just to capture that nostalgia, of those releases from Mattel. This is the Mattel Toys 1979 catalog that has the Shogun Warriors and the Godzilla gang figures.
Oh my God! How you got all this stuff? Okay. John, you got everything, man.
No, but just to relive the 70s. That's what it's all about, right? Other great books, from the Japanese side,
which we didn't even know existed.
Exactly. I got a lot of catching up to do. Recently, I got this issue of Famous Monsters.
That was the first vintage issue I ever bought from them.
Me too.
Yeah, and I kept I want to spend $100, but I think I only paid $50, so I was happy.
And look at the condition it's in too.
Yes.
Perfect.
Yes. So with that said, that kind of just works up to the little we had, but we had a lot. We had the Roar model kits, things like that.
First thing I ever saw Godzilla-wise. First thing.
Okay. We had the Mattel Godzilla 78, 79. The Japanese had great stuff too. Obviously, that we talked about this in a previous show, the Kuru Terebi, and it came with a Godzilla versus Mecha Godzilla reel. Well, with that said, that leads me to my guy. Now, Godzilla was for me in the 70s the best because it was all about he was all about justice. It was Justice Godzilla, no more bad guy. No more, it was about fighting for the earth. I love that prologue to the Terra Mecha Godzilla. I know it wasn't a part of the original, but that's what we had. And it told the story, and that was good enough. I don't care if it was inconsistent. It told everything we needed to know about the arc of Godzilla's, story in the show era.
Preach.
Thank you. I'm taking the collection after service. Now, we didn't have much, but that's right, I'm Shogun Warriors. On 2000, we did have late in the 70s. We started getting the Godzilla gang, so this was my little Justice Godzilla. I mean, this went right along with Godzilla versus Mecha Godzilla, Godzilla versus Terra Mecha Godzilla. With that said, though, in the 80s, early 80s, when the store I fell in love with, Rocket Ships and Accessories, it used to be in downtown Philadelphia. The 1984 was the 30th anniversary of Godzilla, and they put on a big birthday bash, and that changed my life because I discovered the world of Japanese Godzilla toys. And those were Bandai figures that were released, it's Godzilla 64, but there was one, and I had to make a choice. Which one was I going home with?
Oh.
The one that mattered most. And I would go back to next week and get the other figure, but it was if the Showa era was over, and you had to pick one kaiju from the Showa era from the 70s particularly, but I think blows away even the 60s. It was Mechagodzilla, and this was the
yes.
I walked away
I'm so
with.
surprised.
Oh.
I'm shocked right now.
at the time, but this was
Wow.
this day was the epitome for me for Mechagodzilla, and the opportunities to see Godzilla versus the Cosmic Monster weren't frequent. If you caught it on TV, you were fortunate. I only remember maybe seeing it 3 times on television. I had the privilege of seeing it at the Academy of Natural Sciences in downtown Philadelphia. They did a Halloween movie night for kids, and they showed Godzilla versus Megalon, Godzilla versus Gigan, and Godzilla versus the Cosmic Monster.
Oh my God!
Awesome! I mean,
That's an awesome Halloween thing.
Yeah, this was 70s definitely. But this is the guy, and so I felt like this was the perfect representation of Mechagodzilla. And then over the years, not that many years, the Yamakatsu Mechagodzilla. I just love this little guy.
A little more stylized.
About
So cool. Yeah.
I like it.
And I love the missiles, just the way they did the hands and the stature. And from this guy, later on, I guess in the 90s, Bandai, little 6-inch. I love this Mechagodzilla. I thought they captured the.
Oh yeah, that came out in the 2000s.
Yes, and this is the 75 Mechagodzilla 2. But I loved it was getting closer to that perfect representation I thought of Mechagodzilla at the time. And we know X Plus just knocked it out of the park with the 30 centimeter and then with the gigantic. But for me, it's all about Mechagodzilla. And one last this was from the 80s, but having this model kit, this representation of Mechagodzilla, and was everything. And I'll just share this last thing. It was an honor, again, I said it many episodes ago, but to create this official representation of Mechagodzilla, and I tried to capture, just the colors, from the Famous Monsters of Filmland cover. So just having a little part of Godzilla history has been an honor. And with that said, Mechagodzilla beats them all.
Oh,
there you go.
That was fantastic, because that, in a nutshell, is my experience is almost the same as yours. I had less exposure to it than you did, probably more in television, because I did get to see Godzilla versus Mechagodzilla on TV, because they didn't show it on 17 a lot. They showed it on the other channels. But it definitely mirrors mine. I mean, I just remember in the 70s seeing that Aurora Godzilla glow box sitting in Woolworths, and I was absolutely mesmerized by it. I still am, for that matter. And I have the 1969 version, and it is just, to this day, the one that started me on this entire collecting journey. And then it wasn't until the 80s for me that I discovered that all this other stuff existed when I moved to New York, and when I started going into New York. And then that was my sort of awakening. That was my awakening time. Wow. I was just, the sleeper must awaken. I mean, because I didn't get. I did get the Godzilla game that you have behind you for Christmas one year, and I did tape record. The 2 that I remember recording was the 54 and the Smog Monster. Those are the definitely 2 that I taped, and I got to find those in my mom's attic somewhere.
Wow, it'll be awesome.
And I think my dad went to play his tape in his chemistry class, and it was like Save the Earth came on or something. It's like, what's going on? But the struggle was real in the 70s.
Yeah,
because, like John said, we could not watch them on VHS. We didn't know when they were coming until we got the next TV guide.
That's right.
And it usually was like months or even a year later. So this whole thing, like the people in the chat room are saying, this is the experience that I had, mirrored yours. Famous Monsters of Filmland, Starlog, Dynamite. Remember that kids thing from Scholastic, Dynamite? They had one with Godzilla in it, and this and that. But these are things that just make it all worthwhile for me. So thank you for that trip down nostalgia road. Thank you.
You can stay in the 70s forever.
Yes.
Now, Kyle, let's see what you chose, as if we all don't know.
Well, thanks for passing it to me, David. For me, I've said this many times on the Kaiju Cast. The 70s movies are what they are. They're kind of like, they're not my favorites, but damn, they are fun. And if you take away the fact that I like maybe talked some trash about those movies,
really?
In fact, that actually really that even Leslie, that extends to the monster that I chose. I didn't grow up necessarily in the 70s. I was born in 73, so basically I grew up in the late 70s, early 80s, and I didn't even know Godzilla until I was like a teenager. So let's just go ahead and figure out what my interpretation of Gigan was when I first saw this.
Gigan!
So
the old banana hand.
Yeah, the old banana hand. Well, actually, I wish I could have a photo to explain that name, but. So if you go back to the beginning, like to the beginning of the Kaiju Cast, I probably talked smack about this cybernetic space chicken because this 1972 beast didn't really charm me at first. My favorite monsters are the kind that I can envision coming from our Earth. Godzilla, Mothra, Rodan, Viran, Baragon, Angulus. Those are the monsters that I was like, yes, those could be real. Don't tell me they can't. I don't want to hear that. So when it came to Gigan, it took a lot of steeping within the Godzilla fandom and like sitting on those 70s movies for me to really start appreciating them.
Absolutely.
And there are a couple of factors that I just wanted to say real quick that pushed him into the pool of my favorites. And so number one was that in 2014, David and I went to Japan to see the big tokusatsu special effects exhibition. And in the exhibit, we got to see Gigan's buzzsaw belly. Person.
Wow. It was.
And I don't know what it was about that particular item that it really, really made me take note. And I was like, dude, that's cool. And I think I started somewhere around that time, I started to really change my impression of Gigan. I know when I was there, and I think maybe one of those reasons is because before a certain point of time, I don't really like the sculpts of Gigan. This is the Bandai Gigan, which really looks like a man in a suit. It looks like a man in a Gigan suit, like they've rented it at Party City or something.
Not their finest moment. Their finest moment.
Lucky for everybody watching, I've got a lot of Gigans to do. Okay, so we've got so this was this is my introduction to Gigan as a collectible. Was kind of like not so great. But in 2012, X Plus brought us, which I consider to be like the most suit accurate version of
absolutely
Gigan.
Absolutely
stunner.
Beautiful. Yeah.
Stunner. Love it. So but let's move along, because once I appreciated Gigan on a design level, I also started working on the commentary, which if you are interested in any of the Kaiju Cast commentaries, that is the #1 commentary that we did the most amount of work for, has the best research, and really has some cool stuff. So once I started learning more about the movie, more about the design of the monster, I really started opening up to more iterations of him. So I picked up that Bandai figure in 2013 when I was in Japan. And then in 2015, when I was there with David and Dell and Rich Iso, who's watching live, and those guys, we went to Monster Labo, and I picked up a gorgeous Mars.
Oh, very nice.
That's a really cool one.
I like his sails.
Yeah,
are they like red?
They're really cool. They're really iridescent. Sorry, he's a little dusty, but they're kind of iridescent.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
And he's got a nice look about him.
Yes, he does.
It's realistic, but not super realistic. In terms of realism, I'll get to that in a second. Some of the other Sofubi styles, though, that I wanted to show off. CCP actually makes a very small Gigan figure. Very cool.
Very nice.
US Toys was a really big hit a few years ago.
This is cute.
Oh yeah, I like that one.
Super cute.
Pocket-sized Gigan. He's adorable.
I purchased this bear model Gigan. semi-vintage, I guess you could say. And he comes with an adorable little flying Gigan.
Yeah, I like the flying.
I've got a Marasan flying one that I just didn't want to take down because he's literally strung up to the ceiling. You're talking about going way back for vintage stuff. This is the oldest piece that I have in my collection. I think this predates the Rodan. This is the
you have
Oh my gosh!
When did you get that?
die-cast
That's super
Gigans.
cool.
Oh, John,
Yes.
did you ask where I got this? I would love
Where
to tell
and
you.
when?
I took a train from Tokyo to Saitama, which is a city just north of Tokyo.
Used to live there.
And I went to a place called Kaikodo. Actually, when I was there in 2014 or 2015, I think it was, someone in Japan told me about Kaikodo, and they're basically, they're a big toy store, but they have a huge vinyl section, like a huge vintage vinyl section. And so I was able to pick this guy up for like $45. He's in not so great shape.
Yeah,
but he's awesome. Yeah, like I mean, someday I might get a better version of him. But I like what I have right now.
He's cool. I love that. I like the condition he's in. He's neat.
Yeah. And then because I'm a weirdo, I also bought the Medicom sort of like modern day Sofubi version of this guy. It's they did a whole bunch of these recently. There's like a Shogun Warrior style in the same size and stuff like that.
Nice.
So those are the majority of what I'm going to show you. The last thing I'm going to show you about Gigan is the Sofubi that I'm kind of in love with. This is like the number 1, number 2 sculpt in my opinion. Like quality sculpt. Marmot Monster Heaven has absolutely nailed the design, the proportions, the detail. Everything is perfect for the Sofubi.
I got a blue one.
Oh,
you got a blue one?
I got
Christine,
blue
when you don't want the blue one anymore, send them my way. Because eventually
I remember when you got that one.
That's pretty.
Yeah, so my plan is to basically, eventually, I think I'm gonna start collecting these as trying completing sets kind of thing. Because I really love this sculpt, and it is just a stunner.
It's tight. It's clean.
Kyle, you need to get the Pilot Ace Gigan if you don't have one.
I was wondering if you were
I
going to
want
bring
that
up.
one, but Pilot Ace Gigan is so expensive, so pricey. And specifically, the Pilot Ace paint jobs that I know for Gigan, they've got like 4 or something like that.
I think there was 4.
And there's only
Nev has
one
them
that
all,
I like. Yeah, Nev's got one that I want for sure.
He got the black one, right?
Nev's got all the good ones.
It's like it's more like midnight blue with like gold visor. It's choice.
Oh right, yes.
Yeah. Anyway, dude, I would love to get that. That would be awesome. Someday I'll get a Pilot Ace figure, but not today, unfortunately.
Not today.
Today is not
the
the
last
day.
thing I was going to do for you guys is I was just going to share. Somebody brought up, Christine, you brought up Zone Fighter, and that Satsuma played Gigan in Zone
Good old
Fighter. So
Gigan.
I thought that I would actually play at least the scene while I talk over it of Gigan showing up in Zone Fighter. So if you guys didn't know this, Zone Fighter is a show that came out in 1973, same year as Megalon, and it.
What's going on with this?
Episodes. Yeah, well, Gigan is deployed by an alien bad guy, and he's deployed by this ship, and then he's like coming in too fast, so he has to put on those parachutes.
Yeah, parachute.
This fight scene is funny as hell. This fight scene is so funny.
Yeah, we're not going to watch the whole thing, but I just want to show it off that he does actually appear in more than just Godzilla versus Gigan and Godzilla versus Godzilla. So. If you ever want to see the full glory of Gigan in Zone Fighter, just
look at this. Look at this.
Oh my gosh, I've never seen this yet.
That's gold right there. That's gold.
Godzilla's gonna kick his butt. He's gonna kick his butt.
Wait, let's watch this.
Anyway, sorry. I know I'm killing the vibe by killing that fight earlier.
No, you're not. It's great.
There you go.
It's fun.
So there you go. Yeah, Zone Fighter, fun series. I think somewhat recently finally got like a fan sub, so it is out there if you're paying attention. And that's gonna do it for that 70s Showa. Thank you.
Hey, the whammy questions.
Yeah, the whammy questions.
I hate these.
Wait, before you do the whammy questions, my mind forgot to show one of the best King Caesar collectibles, and I'm just going to show it real quick.
Oh, what?
Yeah, absolutely.
The Glow Power Baby.
Oh, that's right.
How could I forget to show this guy?
Wow. That's
I
amazing.
know.
Wow.
This one is very
Cool.
highly sought after. A lot of people have been offering me stupid amounts of money for this, and so
Wow.
far I've said no.
Those eyes.
No dice, baby.
Wow.
No, wait.
Wow.
Dice. That's supposed to be
How do you
dice.
shake the dice dance?
Yeah.
Like,
Shake the dice.
That's awesome.
Anyway, I just had to not leave
that's
this
so
segment
nice.
without showing this guy, and I got him from our friend Nick Gucker here in Seattle.
Nice.
Oh, fantastic.
Cool.
So there you go. Okay, so now on to the whammy question.
The whammies.
Well,
It's like the Grammys, but it's the
It's
whammies.
like the Grammys, but these are the whammies.
David, we're on like sync here.
well,
Totally, dude.
let me just say that I want to thank my awesome co-host for not only considering this idea, but actually doing this idea. And as you've heard for the past like hours and change, we just had just an awesome, wonderful time, fun time, just talking about these awesome, fun movies. And we're just talking about them. The films themselves are even more awesome. But thank y'all so much, especially everybody in the chat. Thank y'all. This has been really a really fun show, just like every time. But it seems like now is even more special. So thank you so much. I really do appreciate that personally from the bottom of my heart. Now, I do have some whammy questions, and if you know me, you know I do ask the difficult questions. And a part of me, I have to admit, I do take a little bit of morbid pleasure of seeing my co-host sweat a little bit about these questions. But I do it from a place of love. It's just beneath a lot of evil and darkness and all that.
I don't like this
No,
part.
but seriously. Now, are you ready for the whammy questions? Are you ready, David? Kyle, Christine, John, you ready?
Yes.
Ready, dude.
Now, of course, in the comment section, you know, you're more than welcome to answer the question too, and hopefully your brain won't fry because of it. Now, well, I guess we're going rapid fire order. I guess I'll be last since I'm the one that's answering the question. I guess we'll start with David and Christine, then John, then Kyle, or whatever. All right, your favorite 70s Godzilla suit is?
Favorite 70s Godzilla suit it's got to be the Godzilla 1975. I think they took the 74 and they made him a little bit more aggressive, a little bit more angry, a little bit more rough and tumble. By the time it got to, you know, the later 70s, the 68 was starting to go downhill a little bit. So, you know, I gotta say, I really do like what they did with the 75 suit. I think they finally perfected that hero Godzilla look. So yes, 1975.
Christine, go ahead.
Oh, it's not on me. Okay.
Sorry, I thought I was supposed to say more. I'm like, that's all I got. That's all I got.
You're the spotlight, David. I'd have to say I kind of like the 74 because he's cute. He has like that cute puppy dog kind of look. Yeah, I'd have to go with the 74. I think he's cute, and that's my answer because he's cute. I like the 74.
There
He's
we
got a
go.
cute little face.
Sounds good to me.
Oh, is this awkwardly on me again now? We're supposed to do something here.
Oh, I'm with you, Christine, 74. Because, well, I mean, you know, when he makes that second appearance to fight Mechagodzilla and he comes up and his brow, you know, you just see him coming up from the cliff. And that
He's cute, but he looks mean.
Yes. And just the you know, everything about him is great. And, you know, even, you know, just perfect for, you know, someone that's 10 years old, you know, to idolize.
That was always my favorite part where he's coming up over the hill that.
I mean, essentially, it's the same suit. It's the same suit. It's just they just refined it a little bit
Yeah,
for
they refined
75,
it.
and they made him a little bit more angry, a little bit more not as cute as Christine would say. So yeah. but
the jaws, the brows are angled jaw.
Yeah,
It's a lot of. Yeah, I love the 75. I mean, I love everything about the 75, but I like the softer. 73 is great, but too playful. 74 is just right.
That's a good word, playful.
Is at the bottom of my list. But.
I love the eyes of the 73 though. To do.
Yeah, the cocaine. Yeah, the cocaine eyes. The cocaine eyes. Yeah.
The crazy eyes.
The kaleidoscope,
a true Godzilla of the 70s, right?
Yeah.
Woohoo!
Okay.
Kyle, what about you? Your favorite 70s Godzilla suit?
The reused 68, actually. Even though it's getting really ragged and Gigan, which is one of my favorite movies. There's something about the charm from this, destroy all monsters all the way through. It kept a certain charm as it deteriorated, and I think that would be my choice.
Fair enough.
I like that. Can I add something? This is kind of getting off topic, but the X plus 30 centimeter 75, I think it would be perfect if it was raggedy.
Little pieces hanging off.
Yes, and more. Yeah, just ripple because it's too much of a perfect attempt at it.
I can see that.
Raggedy.
I can see that.
I think that's a good
alteration.
Description.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
Oh, you said raggedy is everything about
that's
the
what I want to
70s.
say. Good observation.
Right.
That's what I want to say.
Let's see. Mine is it's of course I love them all, but I love 74. Okay, I got like 5 more, so we can like breeze through these. All right. Okay. Next question: who had the better theme song in your opinion, Jaguar or King Caesar?
Gotta be King Caesar. Gotta be.
King Caesar. Yeah.
King Caesar.
Yeah.
Gotta be King Caesar.
Look at Kyle.
Come on, dude. That is probably the best theme song in the entire series.
I mean, honestly, who listens to Jack Jaguar song and doesn't scream the punch, punch, punch?
King Caesar.
I gotta say the King Caesar, because whenever I clean, actually whenever I'm just hanging out in the house, I always put that on and I put it on repeat. It's just so good, and I try to sing it.
It is very good, and I love playing it because Keith doesn't like the end because she can't really hit that last note, and he always cringes when that last note comes on, and he's like, ooh, and like I just love to watch her perform. So, I mean, she hits every note perfectly until she gets that last note, and it just doesn't quite make it to where it should be.
Yeah.
But anyway,
for me, it is it's tough, but I got to go with King Caesar. And real life fact, that's my alarm clock. When I wake up, I got the King Caesar alarm.
No way.
It's like so at 6 o'clock in the morning when I get up every morning, it's like Caesar. All right, well.
Do you start it from the very beginning so it really kind of wakes you up?
No. It's just at the point. It's just at the point when she's at the high pitch seesaw. Because if she start at the bottom, I would be getting to work late every single day because I'm like, hit the snooze button. But it's funny.
That's the best thing I heard all day.
But you know what? You're right, Kyle, because she does start off like low, kind of like, no.
I didn't know. You could be one of those people that needs a slow build to wake up. If you get woken up with a big smash, it might scare you, But yeah.
Yeah. Meanwhile, King Caesar, he just sleeping like this with a grin on his face. He's like,
Leslie, you be waking up like when she has the visions at the beginning of the film.
No, but I do. I mean, no lie, I do have that as my ringtone to wake up. But at least when I wake up, I don't cause an explosion like King Caesar did. So that's always a good thing. Otherwise, Sandra,
I love it.
Otherwise, I ain't trying to have my wife blown up and into the next bedroom. So I ain't trying to have all that. So
I love it.
All right, 3 more questions. What is your favorite fight from the 70s films? You got to pick one. There's plenty to choose from, but you got to pick one. Your favorite fight scene from the 70s.
It's tough.
I think it's got to be Godzilla versus Hedorah, because that fight scene, he fights all these different forms of that monster, and he almost gets his ass kicked. He does get his ass kicked, but he triumphs in the end with a little bit of help from humanity. But I think as far as like brutal fight scenes go, there's some pretty brutal stuff going on, like eyes being punched out, eyes being, melted off, and, in a vat of sludge. That last battle between Godzilla and Mechagodzilla is when he just goes ballistic on him too. That's a close second. Yeah. But yeah, I gotta say,
that's in Zone 2000.
In its entirety, the Smog Monster, all those fights, because he just, I have to do it.
Yeah.
Got to do it. Christine.
All right. I got to say probably Godzilla versus Mechagodzilla, because that was one of the first ones where I was like, he's getting his butt kicked.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And with all the missiles, like,
yeah.
I was like, oh, gosh. Yeah, and then I liked how he teamed up with King Caesar in that one, but that one was, for me, one of the ones.
Kind of brutal, yeah.
Yeah, it was, and he was like, Mechagodzilla was relentless and nasty and cranky, and I don't know, just going all out at him, and it was sad. And they had sad music too in that one when Godzilla was getting all beat up. Yeah, I'm gonna have to go with that one. Godzilla versus Mechagodzilla, 74.
I would go with 74, but in the interest of being different, 75. That scene where Godzilla's on fire. It's just epic. The expanse of that scene, and just what a way for Godzilla to take on both Mecha and Titanosaurus. And boy, he went through it. I mean, epic though. I mean, there's some, like you said, the Hedorah battles, from Tadpole, from all the way to the end is brilliant.
Brutal.
Now, we didn't say Megalon, but and I like the idea of the fight. It just, kind of went crazy at the end there.
The drop kick. Who doesn't love the drop kick?
It would be great if that just wasn't there. But.
Can I say one thing about the Megalon fight, even though it's not my choice? The fact that there's like behind the scenes stills of Godzilla having taken a tree trunk and like pulling off the branches and treating it like the branch in his mouth and treating it like a samurai sword, like that. It bums me out that we didn't actually get to see that, since we got to see all the other crazy stuff like the flying tail kick, like that. That would have just pushed that fight into another level of weird, I think.
Wait,
so John, the tail dragon drop kick bother you, but you do know he talked in the couple films prior, right?
Yeah, that's all right.
And he flew in 71, right?
See, I want to tell you, 71. I see it in some deeper levels now. In the beginning when Ken is playing with the figures and he flies down the slide. So that's all. That's all.
Foreshadowing.
Superman beats them all, but Godzilla becomes Superman when he flies. I mean, there's, that's leptic. He's anticipating.
You will believe a monster can fly.
That's right. I know.
You're right. One of the best scenes in that movie is the very, very end, where Godzilla just turns around and looks at humanity and goes, "You guys suck." And then he just goes back.
Those are trippy movies,
back.
Man.
And then Ken's like, "Godzilla, stay here." And if there was a thought bubble, Godzilla would be like, "Hell no!" But so yeah, man, those 70s movies were brutal. Now that you're all reminding me, like every single 70s fight was like brutal.
Over the top. Yeah, it was.
Over the top.
Blood and all this
it's the 70s. Yeah. It's the 70s.
I was going to choose the Gigan fight at
Kyle, you never said yours.
The Gigan fight right around the Godzilla tower. You have Godzilla and Angulus, a great tag team, versus Ghidorah and Gigan, a pretty good tag team. Plus, you've got the wild card of the tower firing at them.
That's right.
That's a real fun fight, and it's the first time you see Godzilla like bleed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, as much as I love a good fight, and just in general in a Godzilla movie, shocking to see, especially since it was like like
Yeah.
splurting
It was
blood out.
right in.
Spurting out onto the camera.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But
man.
I really love. I mean, it's a well balanced fight, and I mean, honestly, aren't they all awesome? But
Yeah.
Pretty
that's
much,
my
yeah.
favorite one. Yeah,
They pretty
What
much
about you,
are.
Leslie?
They pretty much are.
And you know what? I agree with you, Kyle. My favorite fight, that's actually my favorite fight of all time in a Godzilla film. The tag team fight from Gigan. That's just an awesome fight. All right, last two questions. You know what, Kyle, you just touched on this. Tag team. So what is your favorite tag team from the 1970s?
Oh man.
I apologize if this is so hard. I'm really apologize.
I'm gonna just stick with my Godzilla 74 and King Caesar. I liked it because that was prophesized. That was a prophecy come true.
Oh, true.
And again, I'm gonna stick with my creature, my only Toho Godzilla creature that comes sort of from Japanese mythology. So I'm gonna look at Godzilla 74 and King Caesar. Christine, how about you?
I gotta go with from Godzilla versus Gigan, Godzilla and Angie versus Gigan and King Hedorah, because Godzilla and Angie, they're best buds.
Yep.
So it's always fun to see them team up together to go kick some booty.
Mm-hmm. I'm right there with you, Godzilla and Angry.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Good team.
They fought bitterly, in 55, and then became best pals. And Angry will do anything for Godzilla.
That was stupid, though.
He'd come out a call for Godzilla.
Yeah,
that was so stupid. I'm sorry. I wish my best friend would wake me up out of my sleep and tell me, "Hey, would you mind taking a 1,000-mile trip somewhere?" Why? What am I looking for? So you hear something funny
going on. I don't know.
Then why don't you go? I mean, your name is in the title of the film. Why don't you take your ass to Japan if I was
Okay. And why the hell did Angulus just sort of walk right into Gigan's buzzsaw?
Was he hypnotized by the
hypnotism?
Well, there you go. That explains it. Must be.
Maybe he thought he could break it.
Angry's got a whole lot of bark, but not a lot of bite.
I know. He always gets beat on. Poor little Angie. He doesn't really do much. He tries, though. He tries.
His jaw got jacked up.
Yeah, it did.
Ooh, yeah.
I was worried about that.
I was worried about that too.
Yeah. Angus is kind of like the MonsterVerse fans. Got a lot of passion, but not too much brains.
Oh shoot!
Shots fired.
Anyways, what's your?
I did not say that.
Yeah, bring the hate mail to me. I love being a heel and a bad guy, so bring it to me. Kyle, what's your favorite tag team from the 70s?
Could I make one comment? This is off I just wanted to throw in there. Can you all explain to me? I mean, I thought it was really dope with Mechagodzilla flying at the beginning of Godzilla versus Mechagodzilla. And he's balled up and just comes.
Oh, through the mountain, right?
Yeah.
In the meteorite.
Yeah, wasn't that? Yeah, that was kind of dope. I never could wrap my head around that. Is it like similar to how Godzilla was flying against Hedorah? Or
I don't know.
Look at that.
That's a good question.
Wasn't he encased in rock though? Wasn't he like?
I thought that was just his skin. I thought he was just
Oh,
curled up.
now I have to look at it again. I thought it was like a lava rock that came out of the volcano that he was inside.
Maybe
that's what I thought.
I always thought it was his skin. It always looked like his skin to me.
Oh, now I'm intrigued. I don't know.
I just threw that out there since we were Hedorah and flying and. Well, I'm sorry.
Got to give that HD transfer another look for sure.
Amen. Yes, we do.
Mm-hmm.
I hope you're right because it's a pretty cool idea if that's true.
Mm-hmm.
Kyle, your tag team?
My tag team, as weird as it sounds, I kind of like the tag team of Godzilla and Jet Jaguar versus Megalon and Gigan.
Yeah.
Honestly,
okay.
I think in terms of balance, like that actually it works out really well in their favor because It gives them some very dramatic poses as a tag team, like when they're encircled in fire.
Yeah, it's awesome.
And of course, you get Jet Jaguar holding Megalon. Is it Megalon while Godzilla does the drop kick?
Mm-hmm. It's Megalon.
Yeah, it's Megalon. Yeah, I think so.
So there's my answer for you.
Cool.
My favorite is I mean, I've said this many times before, and it still stays the same. My favorite is King Ghidorah and Gigan. And in my opinion, if there was a fight that Godzilla should have lost, it should have been that one. In my opinion, I just love to see the visual, even though half of it is stock footage. Just the image of Gigan on the ground, just tearing through a building. Then you got King Ghidorah flying above him, laying waste to the rest of the city. They're an awesome tag team, man. It's my favorite from the 70s. And the last whammy question. If you could pick any kaiju from the 70s, from any toy company, X Plus, Marmot, Toygraph, Spiral Studios, Omega Beast, whatever, you're the president. What kaiju collectible would you make next from the 70s?
Well, I think we've already sort of touched on this, and I think what I would do is a Godzilla tower. Just a really X Plus version looking just like, even though before I said I did say I'm changing my answer now. I did say the Imposter, but I would love to see really cool, and maybe like with a diorama, maybe with some little mushrooms around there, and just the whole. And then, wouldn't it be cool if they did like a whole, like a set, like, and you can have the play like smaller version, and then you have like the whole little play set. Wow, that's what I would do if I was the president of X Plus. I would make a smaller scale, maybe like 20 centimeter, of Gigan, King Ghidorah, Godzilla, and Angulus, the tower, the mushrooms, everything. Well, this is the perfect world, right? I can do whatever I want. So why the hell not? That's what I would do. Bam. Christine, what would you do?
Okay, well, I'm kind of torn here because I would love to see a Toygraph Titanosaurus because I love his style. But you know what we need? Mamagon and Shukra.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I think is it Cass?
Overdue.
Yeah.
Mamagon and Shukra.
The Mamagon and Shukra
artwork.
I have one of them. I have the
Mamagon.
Thank you.
I want the figures.
I don't even need to answer the question because I think that's it. That's my answer right
now. It is so cool because there's nothing. The only thing is just the cast.
I'm changing my mind. You win the internet. Boom, boom, boom. Groovy.
I would be all over that.
I would be all over that.
Different.
Definitely.
And I don't care who would make. Maybe Marmot would make it. I mean, I like Marmot sculpts.
Anybody make it. Somebody make it, please.
Somebody, please make it.
And not a little teeny tiny like artwork book that cast it. I know it's better than nothing, but you know, like
it is. I have it. I'm like, oh man, it could have been so much better.
I know. I mean, I like the cast ones. I know Samson just got one, and I'd actually like to find them because they're pretty cool. I like the pictures and the little extras comes with, but like I would like an actual. I don't know, not a 12-inch figure, but a 9-inch or something.
Yeah.
A would be amazing.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah.
Shukra and Mamagon for the win.
They need to be in an actual doing fighting as well.
Yes.
Right, as a Rick extra.
Yes.
A Rick extra for the tower.
Exactly.
Oh, there you go. We got a plan coming together, guys.
There you go.
Now, here's my figure. I want to see a flying Hedorah from X Plus.
Yes.
We have all the other.
Wait, didn't they do one? Didn't they do a small?
There was a mini one, wasn't there?
Where?
There was an extra?
Yeah, they did a flying Hedorah for the very first Rick version of the 30 centimeter. I'm pretty sure.
He's right. He's right.
You're right, David. It's small though. It's not big.
I've never even. Wow.
Yeah.
Amazing.
That was the original. That was the original Rick. I mean, they reissued it as a light up in his eyes, but the original Rick was a small mini flying version of Hedorah. Yeah.
Yeah. That Passion boy, I want that too from that.
Oh.
Yes.
That's 60s though.
60s. Yeah.
Actually, y'all stay tuned because Sandra may have something to say about that in like a month or so.
Oh.
But for me, I mean, it's no brainer. S Plus, please do a gigantic 74. My Mechagodzilla, my Mechagodzilla is so lonely, and I've said this many times before. You know, the gigantic series is well represented with Godzilla when he's the villain or the anti-hero. The only one that's really heroic or the good guy is the MonsterVerse one. But we need a superhero, goofy one from the 70s.
Yes, we do.
So the only one that makes sense that comes to mind, in my opinion, give us something to rival the gigantic Mechagodzilla, and give us a gigantic 1974 Godzilla.
Yep.
And
please get that face right.
Face. The default real face was good.
Yes, the default real face is perfect.
You know, little tweaks here and there, and make
put that on a big figure. Yeah, but get that face right, please.
Yeah.
Yes.
All in the
so.
Face. Yeah.
But that's what I would do if I was in charge of X Plus or whatever. But that's my whammy questions. So once again, thank you for answering the whammy questions. Once again, thank you to my awesome crew. Thank you to my awesome crew for doing this show and considering it and all the good stuff. It's been an honor. Thank you so much for doing this. This really means a lot to me. So, all right. So what's next on the agenda, Kyle?